I'm Amit Bhagwat. I chair the IASA Content Committee, and with me are two of IASA members from the education sector. We are going to talk about the IASA Education and Certification Program. We'll start with Scott, who chairs the Education Committee. Scott, a little about yourself first.
Sure. So my name is Scott Andersen. I'm the chairman of the Board of Education for IASA. And the Board of Education was founded about 3 months ago to replace and also to provide an umbrella for all of the educational activities that we now have going on. So we have a certification committee. We have our ATC, which is the Architect Training Committee, and that is the committee that owns the taxonomy, but also is the committee that builds the new content and builds the new courses and also shepherds authors through the process. We now have a bylaws committee, and we have 2 more potential committees that we'll be adding eventually as we intend to grow the IASA commitment to education. So.
And we have Andy, who is the Vice President in charge of the educational field within IASA. So Andy, would you introduce yourself?
Thank you. My name is Andy Ruth, and I am the Vice President of Education. And what I do is I take the input from Scott and the Board of Education, and I actualize that. I go out and I'm responsible for creating the assets and making all of them available back to the community, and then interoperating with Scott to make sure that we keep things in line, on target, and available to the broad community.
Okay. Scott, maybe a vision question to you. Architecture, IT to begin with is one of the least regulated fields. And personally, I thought that was the beauty of it, because I come from a technology background, but other than IT. And I thought I would go into IT because that's where, if you have brains, you're good with IT. So how about regulating and formalizing it? What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I think that as professions mature, there's a natural tendency towards the concept of let's regulate, let's license, let's begin the concept. And I think one of the things that we're finding, and this economic problem that we're having right now in the US and worldwide, really has allowed us to kind of strengthen the ties and need for this certification and licensing process. A lot of projects fail. The failure rate of projects continues to go up. Standish puts it at 35 to 50%, depending upon the year that they publish their reports. That's a lot of money that businesses are wasting and really not seeing value out of IT. And the real value role in the IT world is that architect person, that person that can come in, can rescue dying projects, can fix broken projects, can really be that catalyst for change in the organization. And so when we instantiate that role and we can say, this guy right here is an architect. Why is he an architect? Well, he took the certification, he's taken the training. We can validate and verify that this guy knows what he's talking about. And go beyond that, perhaps even indemnify it by saying, and we guarantee his work as an organization. So that's kind of the reason why we want to certify architects.
Okay. Given that, Andy, this is for you. We have, one thing is certification where your background counts. Other thing is there is a prescribed piece of training, and then questions related to that piece only and certification. And third is possibly a mixture of those two. Has IASA thought about what it would like to do?
Absolutely. We've put together a structure, and the structure is a body of knowledge that talks about the 5 core pillars or foundation pillars of skills that every architect, regardless of what type of architecture they practice, what type of practicing architect they are, needs. And then we have specialization areas. And we've defined those around the skills that are needed at a number of different levels of proficiency. And we expanded on Bloom's taxonomy to have 10 different levels, from knowledge level to being a visionary in that space. So we've identified those levels and the skill set, and now what we're building out is certification at 4 different levels at a foundation, which is I have the knowledge of this, an apprentice, which is I am starting to practice and I've got a mentor that's providing guidance, through to the professional, which is I can work on and deliver projects on my own, up through master or mastery, which is you're providing back and you're a lighthouse or a visionary for the IT architect community. So those are the 4 levels of certification that we're working on. we are currently, we've started a pilot for delivering on the professional, which is a peer board review, and we have our first certification boards in November, and 5 cities, or 5 chapters that we're pushing out in, and we've started work on the foundation, which is a lot more knowledge level. Do you know this? Do you understand this? Do you have this knowledge base? And that should be out hopefully by the end of this year. So we're putting those together. Certification without reference material, training material that's needed to gain those skills is useless. So what we're doing is we're also building out courseware and training. We already have a number of assets in that training space that are available. We've got 23 courses that we looked at. We have a number of them that are in pipeline, and we're setting up a structure right now so that the community can create the content, and we can collect it. It'll be posted out there, and then the community, can deliver that back out into the community.
Note for future viewers, when Andy said this year, he was actually talking about 2009. So if you're watching this on YouTube in February 2010, you can already take those classes. In fact, you should have already taken them.
Excellent. Scott, master architect sounds great, because architect means master builder. Master architect means master builder. Many of us are senior architects. Tell me, am I a master architect or not? What defines it?
What defines a master architect? Well, I think a master architect has gone beyond the traditional bounds of what an architect is. So a lot of people are good architects. They're able to build solutions, they're able to provide value, they're able to drive the components of that solution and keep it moving forward. I think a senior architect or a master architect is somebody that goes beyond that in the sense that they take to the community the sense of, I need to mentor, I need to give back. There's an incredible give back that a master architect will have versus, as an architect grows, they may not have as much to give, they may be nervous about giving. A master architect knows they have something to return to the community. I think master architects also have almost a degree of confidence that their solutions are going to work. It's an arrogance. My solutions don't fail, but my solutions don't fail.
Do you think also in there that they are a lighthouse? They're the ones that introduce new paradigms in architecture that advance the field.
Absolutely. I mean, and the lighthouse is a really good concept because, when you think about a lighthouse, everybody always thinks, oh, that's some guy's got a light and the light is shining out into sea. Well, the light's there because there's a problem. And one of the things, I actually wrote a blog about this a number of months ago, is this concept of, what if we could embed lighthouses in our solutions? Well, that's what master architects think about. They think about ways, not that I'm a master architect, mind you, but that, that's what they're thinking about, ways that I can solve problems before they happen, ways that I can circumvent the issues that my solution may have without throwing extra things into it. So that was a good point, thank you.
Now, Andy, the obvious question here is going to be, there are some apprentice architects being mentored, and there are some master architects who are going to mentor them. And it works very well. I mean, I work with other architects and we have a jolly good time. But when we talk about an accreditation, they are obviously going to ask you, what is the formal transition from A to B? Have you given a thought to that?
I have, and there are a couple of different mentor paradigms that we have to talk about. There is a mentor structure that's going to be associated with certification, and that is going to be, you're going to have somebody that's going to usher you or help you through the certification process. And in that case, what will happen, especially at the professional level, is they'll provide you the guidance. You'll rate yourself across that skills taxonomy that we've got, and they'll, through a series of interviews, validate the skills that you have at the level, and they'll question why it is that you say you have them at that level, so they'll become authoritative on your skill set.